Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for an Everton versus Manchester City preview. A chance to get over our loss of last week. Let's get into our thoughts. Right, Joe, a tough place to go is Goodison Park. Whenever we play Everton, they always turn up. It seems to be wherever we go. Every club always wants to turn up and play against the champions and try to get a result like Tottenham did last week. They beat us, but they've still lost 4 of the last 5 games. But Everton, nonetheless, they're not doing quite well at the moment. I've got the league table up here beside me. They're sitting in 16th place and have also lost 4 out of the last 5 games, including the last 3 in a row. Wouldn't spark you with a lot of confidence for Frank Lampard's Evertonians. I know they brought in Dele Alli and Donny van de Beek. Hasn't seemed to have had much of an impact. But I would like to think, Joe, us coming off the back of that defeat against Tottenham, we'd be full of vim, we'd be full of hunger. And I usually feel, I don't want to jinx it, but I usually feel after a loss, we really kick into gear and, tend to go on at least a bit of a run to get over it. How are you feeling about this one, mate?
I'm feeling confident in the sense of Everton are, no disrespect whatsoever, but they are bad at the moment. They are very bad at the moment. They've managed to get themselves dragged into, I'd even go as far as a relegation battle, considering, Newcastle and Burnley are down there. They keep on winning. So, they'll want 3 points because they won't want to get dragged even further down the table and actually be in a proper relegation battle, especially considering some of the money they've spent recently over the years. I don't think they want to go down at all. Not that any team wants to go down anyway, but Everton away is a place where we've had a hit and miss record over Everton. I think recently it's been pretty good, but I specifically remember Pep's first years, they battered us once. They truly battered us once. I think they scored 4. That was when they had Lukaku, and we've had a few red cards, and overall, we should be beating them. We should really be kicking on now. Like you said before, when we normally lose a game, drop some points, we usually go out in the next game, albeit it's not usually a week until our next game at this point. It's usually 3 days, but we normally go out in our next game with a point to prove and usually get a result. Now, again, I don't want to tempt fate, but realistically, we should be winning this. We can't really afford to drop points because Liverpool have just gone 3 points behind us now.
The thing is with Everton, obviously they're going through a pretty bad run of form, and now Frank Lampard is fairly new in the job, so he's going to be given a bit of allowance. They won't be expecting to beat us, so in some ways it's a bit of a free hit for them, but the players and Frank Lampard will absolutely be fired up because this would be a massive statement for Man City legend Frank Lampard. If he could come in and beat City or get even a draw against City, it would give their fans, it would give the whole club, it would give their players a massive boost of confidence, and it would give Frank Lampard a big green mark on his CV at the very beginning of his Everton career. So there won't be any walkover. You may look at their recent results and suggest, yeah, we should go out there and thump them, and in theory we should, based on quality of players on paper, but they will be really up for this. This is not an easy place to go. But in terms of City, the gap, unfortunately, was originally 12 points just a few weeks ago. Liverpool had a game at hand over us, didn't they? And they've won that. We then dropped points to Tottenham. And now we are in a position where the title race is well and truly on. Liverpool are 3 points behind us. As of last night, they absolutely battered Leeds 6-0. Fair play to them. But it puts us under pressure. We said this, myself, Joe, Dara, everybody else in H94. When we were 12 points clear, we said it the whole time. This race is not over. Do not listen to media hype. Do not listen to what Sky Sports are saying, what journalists are saying. We never believed the league was over. We were in that position Liverpool were in a few weeks ago, 12 points behind, and went on to win the league. So every single game is absolutely huge now, starting with this Everton game tomorrow afternoon. And then we've got obviously a Manchester derby next week in the Etihad, a place United have had our number for a few years now. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United seemed to give us an awful time in the Etihad, winning the Etihad Cup, didn't they? So starting with Everton tomorrow, we need to go on a run and not let Liverpool, gain any ground on us, Joe. I think the next few weeks are absolutely crucial, and tomorrow is huge for beginning the momentum cycle, if you like. Get back into that winning mentality. A couple of shaky results recently, notably the Tottenham result, dropping points to Southampton as well a couple of weeks ago, and they have come back to bite us in the arse. I think tomorrow is really important to begin that winning mentality again, and we'll be back into playing every 3 or 4 days, which I think suits us as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, we seem to magically turn it on when we play 3 or 4 days, which is mental. I don't know why it is, but we just seem to do. I don't know whether it's I genuinely don't know what it is, but I mean, look, it's been such a long time since Spurs compared to what we usually get in terms of fixtures, so there should be no reason why we can't go full strength. And the next game after this is Peterborough in the Cup, so you'd think you can rotate there. There's no reason to just not go for this game. And I think Pep will. I think Pep will, again, he'll want to, avenge the loss and make sure we don't lose any more ground and just truly go for it.
In terms of team selection, we've got the news today that Gabriel Jesus, who has a pretty good track record against Everton, doesn't he, is back in training. Jack Grealish is back in training from a short-term injury, so it's good to have I think we've got a fairly full complement of players available to us right now, and that is absolutely important with these next few weeks. Absolutely crucial. Like I said, we've got a Manchester derby Sunday week, but we have the small matter of Everton first tomorrow. So like I keep saying, tomorrow is massive for getting ourselves back off the mark, getting back into that winning mentality. Every 3-4 days is a new challenge, and every 3 points is absolutely crucial right now. So with that much said, let's get over to our predicted starting 11 and see who we thought Pep will pick. Right, we're going to pop up our predicted starting 11 for Everton away on screen for you right now to see. As always, do get involved down below in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on all of our selections. Is there anyone you would like to see dropped and you would like to see brought back in? Let us know. We want to hear what you have to say. So in goals, as always, I don't need to go over this one. I talk about him every single week. Best in the business, Ederson is in goals for us. The back four, Joe, was a pretty tough one for us to pick because I think defensively, last week's game against Tottenham was one of, if not the worst defensive performances I've seen from City in a long time. We were letting them into space that we don't usually do. We were missing challenges. We were just struggling to stick tight to our men. Gave players like Son and Kane far too much room, and we paid the price for it, didn't we? So we've got Kyle Walker at right full back. We've gone for Diaz Laporte again. We think they will, bounce back from a below par performance last week. Both of them not at their best. Diaz probably slightly worse than Laporte, but we've gone for them again. John Stones, I think, has every chance. I think it's 50-50. We've just gone for Diaz Laporte, but it's 50-50. John Stones could very much get the call because he's been absolutely fantastic. I think it's fair to say, John Stones, whenever he's been called upon this season. But we've gone for Diaz Laporte, like I said, and Cancelo at left back, who, as always, is pretty reliable. Joe, this is on paper a pretty strong back four, but I think they've all got a point to prove after last week's performance.
It's a tough one to pick, really, when you consider we've just had a defensive disaster just 7 days ago, where you can see any of the back four drop out, really. I mean, you can make a case for any of them dropping out the team. I think Cancelo, for me, is probably, I'm most confident about him starting just because he's going to be one of him or Walker starting. So, he can play both sides. He's got more of a chance. But again, like you said, I won't be surprised if I see Stones even at right back. You never know. He's got a genuine case to get in this team at the moment because when he hasn't played a lot of football, but when he's come in, he's done well. He's done really well, even out of position. So it could feel a bit hard done by. But again, who do you take him out for, really? That's the question. Who was the worst of the bunch? I mean, in my opinion, it was Diaz, but you can't take Diaz out. You just can't. Yes, it was probably his worst game, but every player's allowed a bad game every once in a while. He's been so good for us. So, I don't know. It's a tough one to pick. I'll be happy with anything, really. You could even see Ake, but I highly doubt it.
It's just unfortunate for Diaz that whenever he actually does have a bad game, which in fairness to him is very much a rarity, but when he does, we tend to drop points. That's how crucial this guy is. That's how important he is to our team. I don't actually see Pep dropping Diaz. Out of all four of those players, I think you mentioned on it there, Kyle Walker is probably most likely to lose his place because of how good John Stones can be at right full, which we've seen. Moving into the midfield, Rodri is another player I was very unimpressed with. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a big fan of Rodri this season. I think he's been absolutely fantastic and consistent, which is what we want from Rodri. But similar to Diaz, when he has a poor game, the team suffers. So he had a poor game last week, but we just don't think Fernandinho is going to get the call in for this game. It's an extremely important game, this game against Everton tomorrow, lads. Must pick up the 3 points. Rodri needs to turn it back up and get back into that form that he has done all season. We've gone with him because I just simply don't see Fernandinho, but maybe, I don't know, you guys can give us your thoughts. And then just in front of Rodri, we've got the ever reliable Bernardo Silva. Even when we're playing badly, he still is consistently fantastic. You can always rely on this guy. De Bruyne is someone I know yourself and Rebel were very critical of after the Tottenham game because he seemed to be very much lacking ideas, wasn't he? I was at the game myself and I was watching his movements, and he seemed to struggle with the compactness of Tottenham's back five, if you like. He wasn't able to find the space he usually does, and he was just effectively spamming cross to absolutely nobody, and it wasn't much use. But we do know De Bruyne is a quality player, and I'm just hoping he can bounce back from that and use this Everton game as a catapult. I believe he will start. Joe, on paper, once again, a very strong midfield, but Rodri and De Bruyne do have to up their performances after last week.
Yeah, no, I saw that people were saying Rodri looked leggy against Spurs, and He did. He looked tired. I don't know why he looked tired, because it was not too long after that 2-week break we had. But he did. But again, we've had no midweek game, so he should be more than okay to play this game. He should have had more than enough time to recover if he is tired. I just don't see Fernandinho playing here. He'll most likely play against Peterborough on the Tuesday when we rotate. At least I think it's the Tuesday anyway. And then Bernardo, undroppable. I mean, he's just kind of there. He runs about a lot. He presses well. He's ever present in the team. Even if you don't notice him, he's still helping, towards the team as a collective, even if we don't win. And again, I think I put him in the same category of when he has a poor game, we tend to not do as well, because he really helps us control that midfield, which is kind of crucial to winning games. And then, look, with De Bruyne, I'm not going to go on about him for too long, because I've done it in previous videos many, many times. I've given him an untold amount of stick, which I think is justified. And for me personally, I'd be starting Gundogan here over him. I'd take De Bruyne out, because at the moment he's in the firing line, because he hasn't played well over the last couple of games for me. But because I truly believe he is going to start, I think Pep will pick him. This is a predicted 11, not what I want. Look, he has to have a good game here. I'm hoping that with Frank Lampard wanting to play, a bit better football, a bit more expansive football, with the likes of Dele Alli and Donny van der Beek coming in, helping him, progress the ball, play a bit more positive, he might fare a bit better in this game, but he just simply has to play well.
It's really important we get Kevin De Bruyne back in form. He was doing quite well throughout January and a bit of December as well, but the Tottenham game was not one of his best performances. Moving into the front three, we've gone with Riyad Mahrez on the right. This guy is undroppable in important games. I don't know why he did not start against Tottenham. He made such an impact when he came on the pitch. He seemed to be able to make space in areas that they didn't exist previous, so he's absolutely crucial. I think Pep will realise that, bring him back into this game, and there's always goals in Riyad Mahrez. And now, of course, we can trust him on penalties as well. So this guy is undroppable right now. Phil Foden and Raheem Sterling will join him. We've gone with Foden through the middle and Sterling on the left. Sterling has had a pretty good few weeks. Granted, wasn't his best performance against Tottenham, but he didn't have a huge amount to work with, did he? And of course, Tottenham doubled up on him a lot of the time whenever he's on the ball. They were very afraid of him. They did a good job on him. It was just Tottenham's day. I believe it wouldn't have affected Sterling too much. He wasn't the worst by any means. And then Foden was a bit anonymous against Tottenham, but similar to Mahrez, he's capable of that moment of magic and creating something. I think he's fairly undroppable, but we may have gone with a Grealish or a Jesus had they been fit based on performances last week, but they're only back in training today, so I highly doubt either of them will start. Nevertheless, though, if all these players are on form, it's a pretty frightening front three, Joe.
It is, but it's just a shame that with the Tottenham result, it coincided with a lot of these players dropping out of form, or at least for a game. It's interesting to pick up on the Sterling doubling up. It's not just Spurs. I think Sporting tried to do it. I think Norwich tried to do it as well. Because he's come back into form, teams have started paying more. They've started giving him the Mahrez treatment and doubling up on him, which, although it's infuriating at times because he's got to do even more to get to goal, it just shows how much he's come on in the last few months in terms of his performances, that they're actually, they're putting two people on him because he's so impactful in these games, and he's in a bit of goal scoring form himself, so a bit of goal threat from the wide areas never hurt anyone. And with Foden, it was a case of just lacking anything. He started on the left, he ended up on the right, pretty sure he ended up in the middle for part of the game against Spurs. He didn't really fit in anywhere. It almost was like a tactical tweak, and he was just sort of the scapegoat. He was the one to make way for a tactical change. So I'd like to see him through the middle, considering I think he's more suited to there. I know he played well on the left, especially last season, but because Sterling's so undroppable, I think you put him in the middle, he can drop in and help the midfield, and I think that's perfect for this game. But like you said, if Grealish or Jesus would have been in training longer, then I think there's no reason why they couldn't have started, considering the Spurs performance.
Something I want to get your opinion on, and I just think we should touch on briefly, is Lim The Lap. Now, don't come at me, I am not suggesting that we should start Lim The Lap by any means, but what I am starting to suggest, and I think is a viable option, is incorporating Lim The Lap as a regular impact sub. We brought him on in a couple of games. He's now made his Champions League debut. He won that penalty, didn't he, against Norwich, using his strength very well. And I think he was a missed option by Pep last week against Spurs. I don't know, did you guys speak about it in the review? He was a missed option. When De Bruyne was spamming in crosses to players who are 5'8", 5'9", and 5'10", It wasn't working against Tottenham's big, tall back five. Bringing in this beast, yes, he's 19 years old. Bringing in this beast, he gives a bit of physical presence. He maybe could have trapped the ball down and laid it off for someone else, or actually got his head on something. I think it's an option Pep actually has to start considering, because teams will use the way Tottenham played against us last week as a blueprint as to how you beat or get success against Manchester City. So we do need to actually start incorporating this guy. He clearly has the ability. Give him time, give him experience, give him the last 15 minutes when we desperately need something. I don't see why not. I don't know. Am I talking crap here, Joe, or do you think that it's definitely something that should be incorporated a bit more?
No, you're absolutely right. If De Bruyne's going to put 20, 30 crosses in a game when we run out of ideas, like he has been for the last couple of games, then it's got to be something that you look at and go, he is like the tallest forward player that we have at the club currently. So you've got to consider it at least, or you've got to come up with a better game plan than just crossing it in loads of times. You've got to get a message across to your players like your De Bruyne's, like your Cancelos who like to cross them deep, that it's not working, you need to try something else. Or you use the plan B, you put the lap on, see if he can get his head on it. Because if anyone is, it's going to be him.
Yeah, I think it's something that Pep should and probably will start using. I would imagine we'll see a bit of the lap against Peterborough midweek in the FA Cup, won't we? Anyways, with that much said, do give us your thoughts on all our conversation in this show so far, and of course the starting 11 and the Lap thing. I'm genuinely curious as to what you guys think on Lim The Lap. Should he become a regular plan B rather than just someone we give experience to whenever we're battering a team? Anyways, Joe, let's get on to our score predictions. Everton away, somewhere we have had a fair bit of success under Pep. We've had some tough games there. They're going through rough form. What is your prediction? And give me one goal scorer, you think. Who's going to score one goal?
I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think we will avenge last week, although I do think we will concede just because defence just was so shaky. I don't think it will have fully recovered. And I'm going to go for a Kevin De Bruyne goal. I know I've given him some stick, but I think he will have a good game.
3-1 from Joe and a Kevin De Bruyne goal. I think we'd all just take the win, wouldn't we? But I'm going to go for a 2-1. I usually back high scores from City because I'm always very over-optimistic, but it rarely seems to happen. I'm going to go with a 2-1 hard-fought win, and I'm going to go with a reliable Bernardo Silva goal. So 3-1 from Joe, 2-1 from me. What is your score prediction? And let me know who you think might score. There's so many options. Get that down below in the comments. Do please leave a like on this video. It helps us more than you can imagine. We're on the road to 2,000 subs right now. It will be absolutely amazing to hit 2,000 subs, and we can see that this community is growing, and we love having all of you guys involved. So subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and we'll see you after the Everton game with all of our thoughts, hopefully after a win. Good night and God bless.